Introduction. Environmental problems stir our planet and the entire current and future population. These are caused by effects on the ecological course of the planet and also of the civilization. In many of the cases in which we talk about them, we only consider very general or perceptive ones such as climate change, water and air pollution, or overaccumulation of waste, but we never realize those environmental problems that can appear due to the human inertia. In this paper, we will address one of them, which is lack of integral management of waste. This implies that there is a lack of sustainable public management for the production of zero waste. The overaccumulation of waste is very common because the more people there are, the more waste is produced, but the lack of integral waste management brings use apart from the accumulation. An inertia of the wastes, that is, that these wastes are going to give to some dump and are unless use space and often end up beginning burning and representing a new environmental problem. In this following page, we present the development of this problem and the process solution, which is an action plan of public life to achieve that required magnet. This acts as a hypnosis and is verified through its structural development. Theoretical framework. The theoretical framework analyzed from this paper consists of some documents that we use as preliminary readings to learn more and to base our self-analysis on the problem. There were 4 documents: Context Observant Work on Waste Management, Article 4 of Mexican Political Constitution, Law of the General Public Administration, Law of the Prevention and Management of Waste. Seminal work on waste management. As the pollution works, so does the demand for resources to sustain it. Globally, that pollution is projected to 9 billion by 2050. In Mexico, by 2015, there were 190 million inhabitants, and it is estimated that the pollution will be 148 million people by 2050. Therefore, there will be 28 million additional people who will demand resources for their development and welfare process. According to the National Pollution Council, it is estimated that the entities with greater pollution growth will be Quintana Roo, Baja California, Campeche, and Querétaro, whose pollution is 2050 will be respectively 56, 51, 44, and 43% higher than 2018. The state of Mexico, the most pollution is the country with 70 million inhabitants, will maintain the position in 2050 with 20 million people by 2050. The development of any economic activity such as the pollution, as production and consumption of goods and services, generate waste which can have a negative impact on the environment that therefore of human health is not managed properly. Adult service coverage of 80% and locals with less than 10,000 inhabitants have a service coverage of 22%. On the other hand, there are 143 municipalities in the country that don't have any service at all. It is in the southern region made of Veracruz, Guerrero, Oaxaca, and Chiapas. It is where there are more municipalities and which the great number of localities with less than 10,000 inhabitants is the region with lowest coverage with 69%. With regard to fuel disposal service, INEGI report for 2010 lists 238 sanitary landfills in which 70% of the waste general is disposed for, while in 1,643 report open bin life, 25% of the waste is disposed of, the rest 5% is waste that is recycled or valued. However, the operation of landfills and ducts is inadequate and requires a risk to the health of the population and the environment. Sermonite computer system for containment sites identified that the least 277 final disposed cities present conditions similar to those of contaminated sites. This documentary identification needs to be updated and confirmed in the file in order to establish the type of sanitation or recommendation required and mitigate the risk it exposed of the pollution of each locality.
Article 4 of the Mexican Political Constitution. Everyone has the right to a healthy environment for his or her development and well-being. The state shall ensure respect for this right. The damage and environmental deterioration will generate responsibility for however causes it in terms of the law. Law for the prevention and management of waste. Article 7. They are faculties of the Federation. 1. Formulate, conduct, and evaluate the national policy on waste. 11. Promote, in coordination with the governments of the federative entities, municipalities, other dependencies, and entities involved, the creation of infrastructure for integrated waste management with the participation of investors and representatives of interested social sectors. 20. To design and promote mechanisms and voluntary actions aimed at preventing and minimizing the generation of waste as well as waste management. 21. Design and promote before the competent dependencies the establishment and application of economic, fiscal, financial, and market incentives aimed at preventing or avoiding the generation of waste, its valorization, its integral management, and sustainable development, as well as to prevent the contamination of sites by waste and, where appropriate, its remediation. 25. Convenes federal entities and municipalities as appropriate to develop joint strategies in the area of waste that allow the solution of problems that affect them. 26. Many other provisions as may be established in this and other legal systems. Law of the General Public Administration. Article 32. It is obligation of the Semarnat to formulate, conduct, and evaluate policy on natural resources provided they are not expressly entrusted to another agency, as well as on ecology, environmental sanitation, water, environmental regulation of urban development and fisheries, with the participation that corresponds to other agencies and entities. 4. Establish with the corresponding participation of other agencies and state and municipal authorities official Mexican standards of the preservation and restoration of environmental quality, on natural ecosystems, on the sustainable use of natural resources and of wild, terrestrial, and aquatic flora and fauna, on wastewater discharge and on mining matters, and on dangerous materials and solid and hazardous waste, as well as establish other general administrative provisions in this area and other matters within its competence for the interpretation and interpretation of application of Mexican official standards.
Problem statement: lack of an integral management of waste. As we were able to analyze in the theoretical framework, in a few years we will begin to have a major problem with the issue of waste management with the model we have today. The problem that we pose and that we want to solve are the difficulties for the measurement, obtaining of economic resource and continuity in the operation of the specialized infrastructure for the integral management of the residues, and above allow planning that transcends the administrations of all the country. In our opinion, this problem can be solved in administrative and legislative political ways, as well as from the figure of the President of the Republic and the Secretary of the Environment and Natural Resources. Hypothesis, action plan. Faced with this problem, it is clear that the solution is on a larger scale. Not only apply situations to waste, because it is almost impossible to make society not produce waste. To this end, and avoiding saying only implement public policies, we propose the following hypothesis. If the government applied a structured action plan that contains a package of public policies and administrative activities that take action on the mismanagement of waste, integral management of waste will be achieved and the impact that the accumulation of this has on nature will be significantly reduced. Next, we will test this hypothesis by structuring said action plan. Testing hypothesis. To demonstrate the veracity of our hypothesis, we conduct a documentary investigation of the conscious activities carried out by Semarnat, the federal government, and also its public faculties. Thanks to this research, we managed to structure the action plan completely and with high expectations for its application. That is, our test is precisely the creation of this action plan, but present as if it were truly an unique package that can be taken to the Senate of the Republic for approval and execution. The range of this plan will be national. It is shown on the following page.
Action Plan for getting an integral management of waste. For many years, we have had the problem of a bad system of management of waste generated in Mexico. To this end, we propose this action plan to obtain an integrated management of the waste produced. It comes with 6 right axes to get that integral management of waste. Right axis 1. Through the analysis of the infrastructure we have and the capacity we have for waste management. Within the framework of the activities carried out by the Secretariat, the Institute collaborates with the Inter-American Development Bank, as well as with the National Institute of Ecology and Climate Change, in the development of the basic diagnosis for integrated waste management. This instrument will provide the necessary elements for support the national policy for sustainable waste management and the respective plans. The diagnosis will identify the generation of waste in different streams, including hazardous waste and special waste management. The capacity for its management from the national point of view, as well as the infrastructure, the regulatory framework, and the establishment of operational instruments, and the advancement of management focused on the objectives of sustainable development. Likewise, it will develop an analysis with a circular economy approach and rational use of raw materials. The degree of compliance with waste management in local governments around the ODS will be considered. Right axis 2. Close all sanitary landfills and garbage dumps that do not comply with the current Mexican regulations and laws. It will be integrated into the corresponding plans for the prevention and integral management of waste, as well as for the remediation of contaminated sites, the evaluation of landfills and sanitary landfills, in order to determine their operability and environmental condition. As a precautionary principle and common sense, final disposal sites with contaminated site potential will be cleaned up to operate in accordance with current regulation and specific attributions of each government order. If a potentially contaminated site cannot continue to operate after a sanitation and remediation plan, it will have to be closed with environmentally effective technology. Alternatives for waste management and disposal, including an integrated management plan, will also be provided at each site where sanitation or site closure is recommended. Right Axis 3. Semarnat should design a platform for technical and financial assistance for waste management in the states. In order to achieve the transformation from a linear economy to a circular economy and to evolve from the current scheme of services towards a model of responsible production and consumption, successful national and international models will be taken into account, where the broad participation of the private sector is promoted so that it invests in waste treatment technology, as biodigesters, biomass burners, other waste, as well as methane gas recovery from relatively young landfills, among others. In order to have access to technical and financial assistance, any civil organization or company interested in forming an operating agency, as well as interested municipal and state governments, may develop a work program and budget for the development of a sustainable waste management plan as well as its operation. The assistance provided will be used for capacity building. Operators and local governments must show solvency and sustainability over time for the selection of proposals and award of assistance. Globally, there are different organizations, agencies, and programs that provide technical and financial assistance to national and subnational governments for capacity building and infrastructure establishment. In this regard, some international and national organizations have maintained contact with the Secretariat and expressed their willingness and interest to cooperate in the implementation of activities aimed at strengthening waste management in the country. Right Axis 4. Creation, adoption, and operation of models for sustainable waste management. Each municipality and entity have its own characteristics regarding the generation of management of its waste. Therefore, it must be considered that there is no single solution to the challenge of sustainable waste management. The problem of waste has no borders. For this reason, the best practices in integrated waste management are carried out with a territorial approach. To articulate all the policies that occur in the matter, such as policies for the protection of soil, water, and emissions into the atmosphere, as well as those aimed at reducing the generation of waste, valuing it, and promoting its integral management. It is with this territorial approach that associative models have been developed that make integral waste management possible. Several federative entities have developed their state plans for the prevention and integral management of waste, as well as several municipalities. Similarly, various management models have been established, which are formed by specific regulatory and normative frameworks by type of waste and generator, economic and financial instruments and taxes, concessions, among others. In this sense, there are several collection and recycling schemes that have been promoted by civil society and specific industrial sectors. Right Axis 5. Transform open dumps into material banks and create markets for recycled raw materials, encouraging the remanufacturing and recycling industry. With the support of the international cooperants, the formation of the operating organism, the guidelines of the Federation, and the participation of local governments, the traditional landfills will be transformed into material banks. These banks will be provided with the waste coming from the program and differentiated collection of the operating organism, as well as with the collection of the independent urban collectors. Right Axis 6. Avoid food waste and take advantage of the organic and energy potential of waste. Food waste and generation of organic waste account for almost 50% of the waste generated in the country. These, if not well managed, end up in landfills and sanitary landfills decomposing, releasing toxic and greenhouse gases, leachate, among other impacts that affect health and the environment. In addition to the degrading recyclable materials with which they can be mixed.
Results and outcomes. As we could see and as we mentioned it from the beginning, this problem affects the whole country and as such should be treated for the whole country. The result we obtained from the investigation with the Semarnat and with the package of Mexican laws, it gave us ample scope to propose a solution and also to want to apply it. As we didn't resort to an experimental method, we will propose a series of public improvements that will be the result of the implementation of our action plan. Hypothesis testing that will serve to solve the problem we pose. The possible solutions or results of our plan are: if our plan were implemented in Mexico, it will be achieved a reduction in the emission of pollutants into the air, soil, and water. A public administration responsible for nature and the environment, an integral care of the environment, a more responsible management of hazardous waste, a cleaner ecosystem as well as the areas where garbage is currently deposited, and a socially responsible Mexico. And personal reflections. Maintaining a sustainable environment in Mexico is everyone's responsibility. Mexico, a mega-diverse country, requires that its inhabitants aim to do something about the excessive overexploitation of resources, mega pollution, and bad treatment of ecosystem because this is causing our country to lose its natural wealth and its biological conditions. To have a sustainable Mexico, we have to have a sustainable lifestyle. This starts from the slightest changes in our lives and even the greatest constitutional revolution, like the one we exposed on this work, that make lifestyles change across the nation. But let's be clear, everything starts at home. It is very important to do it because it's not that difficult. But it does bring transcendent change in our life and in our day-to-day. Unlike what many people think, maintaining such a lifestyle isn't complicated. We can start from stopping using straws, plastic bags, no littering, planting a tree in our house, maintaining a natural garden, or even stop wasting water and stop using cars. This involves our life in society. So, if a person changes their lifestyle, everyone will. As we mentioned it in our work, we talk about a very large point of view as it's from the public political point of view. But a personal lifestyle, it is much simpler than that, but it is equally important. It is essential to mix three factors: education, economy, and politics. Natural care education changes the way we think and act. The economy makes the unsustainable cost less and the polluting cost more. And finally, politics, as we say in our work, works on public policies and laws that they intend to change and revolution society to make them sustainable, and the best example to understand this is our plan.
My conclusion. We can understand by sustainable development of process of growth of humanity with an aim of the care and protection of the environment. The importance of sustainable development lies is not mere fact. The achievement of humans does not have to give up its current quality or of life or money to care for the environment. It is very important to take care of our environment today. As we pollute every day, we produce a lot of garbage, and we have to try to reduce our consumption and these two things, as this is a pollutant that today affects the planet.
A sustainable assist in responding to basic needs, offering a better quality of life, minimizing the use of natural resources and emissions, and without compromising the needs of future generations. A sustainable lifestyle goes far and beyond that related to a sustainable consumption model. Sustainability is of great importance since it is the total efficient and rational administration of all resources, so that it is possible to improve the welfare of today's society without compromising the quality of life of future generations.
My conclusion. It is very important to consider having a sustainable life because our planet is already highly contaminated. If we analyze, see, and understand the great benefits that can bring us to have a sustainable life and how important it can be for our planet, if we all put our cooperation and our part, it can be from separating the garbage in your house to save energy, electric, or even water. We can help in different ways. If we don't take care of the only place we live in, nobody is going to do it, and as a result, we can end.
Conclusion. Having a sustainable lifestyle today is very important for development in all the areas. When we are talking about development, I can say that sustainable life allows us economic, human, and ecological development because the sum of these variables is really very important to coexist with the ecosystem to which we belong. During this work, we had the opportunity to reflect on our problem and try to contribute to achieving a sustainable society in Mexico. In my opinion, the beginning of everything should be always will be to change habits and thus to achieve a lifestyle of our own and transform society for the benefit of humanity.
My conclusion. A sustainable lifestyle is an important aspect that everyone should consider. We are in a crisis in which our world is consuming and dying because of our fault. We exploited its resources since the beginning and the population kept growing, making this worse. Nowadays, many have recognized this and they try to help to have a better world, putting in a practice a new lifestyle of sustainability. With this, people want to reduce contamination produced by themselves and apply new techniques or technologies for this. We only have one planet, and when it finishes, we will finish with it, so we must help to reduce these factors that are killing it and start to change for a better world and a life quality.